Unmasking the Sinister. 5 cursed rules for collecting souls of the terrified and haunted. The night air crackled with a sinister whisper, the shadows weaving through the maple trees of Hollow Creek like spectral hands stretching towards the unsuspecting. For Emma, a single mother of 2 in this seemingly picturesque town, every creak of the floorboards sent tremors down her spine. The local diner was her refuge and prison. Only 32, she fought tooth and nail to keep any hint of danger from touching her children. But eerie occurrences clawed at the corners of her mind. The family next door, always a bit too peculiar, lurking just out of sight. What were they hiding? After a grueling 12-hour shift, Emma returned home, her shoulders heavy with fatigue. She settled her kids onto their small beds, the weight of the day still lingering in the air. Just as she pulled the covers over them, faint whispers snaked through the walls, conspiratorial, ghostly murmurs that made the tendrils of fear curl inside her gut. She tried to shake it off as sleep-deprived delusions, but the sound grew sharper, wrapping around her heart like a vice. In the depths of night, when silence should reign, an unsettling hum filled the air, echoing secrets too vile to share. Emma exchanged glances with her kids, their faces pale, eyes wide with fear. The once safe haven of their home now felt like a suffocating cage, shadows slipping just out of view when she turned her head. What was wrong with Hollow Creek? Each evening, the whispers grew, mocking her, daring her to uncover the darkness, painting their serene neighborhood with terror. Determined to shield her children from harm, Emma decided to confront the creeping dread. She unearthed vestiges of her childhood memories, frightening tales woven into the fabric of American folklore came back in vivid flashes. Curiosity ignited. She ventured into dusty archives at the town library, where cobwebs clung like forgotten fears. There, she uncovered a tale as chilling as the night wind. 5 cursed rules for collecting souls. Each rule unraveled a dark history of disappearances, local lore that crept into her consciousness with every heartbeat, drawing lines connecting her current life with a shadowy past. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As heartbreak and terror twisted within her, Emma felt the town's secrets tighten like a noose. Her children's nightmares grew more vivid, an unending cycle of terror that rattled her very core. Frantic, she sought out local authorities, only to be met with dismissive shrugs and the whispers of old cases swept away under the rug. Could the neighbors possess knowledge that was meant to remain buried? The very thought sank deep into her stomach, a lead weight she couldn't shake off. As she pieced together shards of chilling truths, the shadows in Hollow Creek began to pulse with a malicious intent. Each night, she could feel them scratching at her perception, eager to reclaim what they believed belonged to them. The corners of her reality became tangled with suspicion and panic. Just as she neared an understanding, laughter harsh and echoing filled the air, sinister in its tone, and the shadows surged forth, wrapping her in their cold embrace. Emma stood frozen on her porch, heart racing, trapped between the tightening darkness and the dying light. As dread settled into her bones, the question loomed like the shadows waiting for nightfall. Could she protect her children from both the malevolent spirit and the very people she thought she could trust? The game was afoot, and the clock was ticking. Emma's breath hitched in her throat as the laughter echoed around her. It felt alive, almost tangible, snaking its way through the night air, wrapping around her bones with its icy tendrils. She turned her gaze back toward her home, the safe bubble she had fought so hard to maintain. But now, with every fleeting shadow and mocking whisper, the darkness seeped inside, threatening to unravel everything she held dear. "Stay close to me, kids," she called softly, though she wasn't sure they could hear her over the rising cacophony of sounds, growing louder and more intense. It was as if the world around her was coming alive, every rustle and creak dancing with malevolence. The house loomed eerily, its windows like dark eyes watching her, waiting for her next move. Emma stepped into the house, her heart pounding like a frantically beating drum. She glanced at the small table by the door where she kept a candle. If flickering light could ward off the shadows, she would use every last drop of wax. She lit it with shaking hands, the yellow flame providing an illusion of warmth and safety amidst the encroaching chill. She listened intently, the whispers now flowing through her home like a cold stream. They murmured her name, laced with mocking contempt. Emma, it felt personal, malignantly tailored to instill fear, to draw her deeper into despair. She clenched her fists, fighting the creeping sensation of hopelessness clawing at her. "Shut up," she screamed, her voice cracking. "Leave us alone." The laughter escalated in the fragile light cast by the candle. She moved down the narrow hallway, the shadows retreating and darting just out of her range of sight. Emma's instinct was screaming at her to grab her children and flee, but fear rooted her to the floor. She had to know what lay hidden in the walls of this cursed home. Something was incrementally wrong, and she felt it down to her bones, hollow and aching. Suddenly, the whispers grew quieter as a figure emerged in the dim light in front of her. A fleeting outline that flickered, blending with the shadows at the edge of her vision. Emma's heart raced, an animalistic heartbeat thundering now. "Who is there?" she demanded, squaring her shoulders, though her legs trembled as if ready to bolt. Emma, the voice, light and airy, resonated like a winter breeze, unfamiliar yet laced with an intimate malice. It echoed against the wooden walls, surrounding her with a deepening chill. "You've uncovered the truth. Now you must understand the rules must be followed." "What rules?" The tremor in her voice was unmistakable. She took a step forward, and the candle flickered violently, threatening to extinguish as a draft swept through the darkened hallway, chilling her right to the core. "Rule 1. Trust no one," the figure hissed, its form becoming clearer and more sinister with each syllable. "Each soul has its price. You will pay, or they will drown in the darkness." The candle sputtered and died, plunging the hallway into an abyss of thick, swirling blackness. Emma's breath came quick, panic overwhelming her senses as the shadows lunged, hungry for the warmth she embodied. Emma stumbled back, crushing the small glass candle holder underfoot, the shards biting into her skin. "No!" A scream clawed its way out of her throat. "Not my children." But the figure was upon her now, close enough to see the void within its eyes, endless black pits that threatened to swallow her whole. Emma's hope dashed against a wall of ice-cold terror. "Now the game begins," it whispered, and the shadows swirled faster around her, enveloping her in encroaching dread. In the swirling darkness, it became maddeningly clear. She had to play by their rules or risk losing everything she loved. The last flicker of light faded, leaving only the echo of her terrified heartbeat in the oppressive silence. But just at the edge of the void, a timid voice broke through, and Emma's heart sank even deeper. "Mommy, hurry, they're coming for us." Waves of desperation rolled over her. Emma felt the ground beneath her shift as something loomed in the darkness, demanding her surrender. Could she truly shield her children from the creeping dread? Or would the curse of Hollow Creek consume them all? As the darkness thickened and the haunting laughter echoed anew, the chilling realization dawned upon her. Time was no longer on her side. Emma's heart raced like a rabbit fleeing a predator, pounding furiously against her chest as darkness swallowed her whole. She strived to stay anchored, but the panic surged with each mocking echo of her name, reverberating against the walls like a twisted song of despair. "Mommy, hurry." The plea from her child hit her like a bullet, escalating her frantic need to act. With her vision blinded by the shadows, every breath felt heavy with terror. She stretched her hand out before her, fingers trembling as they searched for any sign, any grip on hope. The chilling laughter echoed around her like a wicked choir, growing closer, and a murmur of icy whispers cascaded like water over her skin. "Mommy." The voice of her daughter, Olivia, was raw with fear and pulled Emma toward the children's room, her sanctuary, or at least it once was. Trust instinctively guided her through the suffocating blackness that lay thick like a wet blanket. Each step felt like a lifetime. She could almost hear the laughter swelling, as if it grew stronger with her pursuit, mocking her efforts to shield them. The door to their room stood ajar, a sliver of darkness against a black wall, the faintest hint of light bleeding through, illuminating her path. Emma, the voice of the figure, floated ominously once again, its tone like melted ice. The rules, they are the key. But Emma couldn't focus on its words anymore. Her children needed her. She pushed the door open, the creak sounding like a death knell. The room was cloaked in an unsettling stillness. Torn between dread and hope, she stepped inside, her eyes darting in search of her kids. "Olivia? Max," she called, her voice trembling, each name an invocation against the encroaching shadows. From the corner, her children emerged, huddled together under a makeshift blanket fort, wide eyes blinking in the dark. Relief coursed through her like warm sunlight breaking through a storm cloud. But the feeling was short-lived. A creeping realization dawned on her. They weren't just scared, they were petrified. "Mommy, they're here," Olivia whimpered, her small voice barely above a whisper, eyes darting around as if watching for something sinister lurking just out of sight. "What do you mean, sweetie?" Emma kneels beside them, feeling their tiny frames trembling. Her heart sank further into despair, yet she desperately fought to appear calm. "He said we have to follow the rules, or they will take you away." Max's voice, barely a squeak, broke Emma's heart. She gripped them tighter, swallowing hard against the swell of emotions. "Listen to me," she said, voice low but fierce. "No one is taking anybody. We'll face this together." "Not those rules, Mommy." Olivia clutched the blanket as if it could shield them from the darkness. The figure said the price as if in answer. A shadow coiled into the room like smoke, slithering across the floor toward them. Emma's heart clenched. "Stay quiet," she whispered, creeping toward the figure that loomed ominously at the doorway. "Mommy," Max whined, face pale with fright, yet the darkness pulsed, as if to swallow them whole. The figure's eyes glinted, a cruel spotlight illuminating the fear in its hollow gaze. "You must choose, Emma," it breathed, the voice echoing colors of malice. "You can give one, or you can lose them both." The darkness craves a soul. A weighty silence fell. The walls closed in, pressing them against one another. Emma's mind reeled. The horror was real, closing around them with a tightening grip that squeezed all breath from her lungs. They weren't just in danger. The house demanded a soul. "Choose," the figure hissed with a voice as unyielding as time, shadows swirling chaotically around it, extending long fingers toward her. Her children clung to her, eyes wide, searching her face for answers. Emma felt a deepening chill in her bones as she fought against the dread curling its icy fists around her heart. How could she decide, when every inch of her being screamed to protect them? Yet she knew one must pay the price. In that dreadful moment, the shadows danced closer, filling the room with an overwhelming, suffocating darkness. It clawed at her sanity, stripping away her resolve. Mommy, Olivia's voice broke again, and time suspended. The choice loomed, heavy and grotesque. Could she outmaneuver the darkness? Or would she become yet another lost soul in the cursed farce of Hollow Creek? "Mommy." The simple word rang with panic and desperation. With every breath feeling more crucial than the last, Emma faced the figure, heart pounding in a battle of survival and a decision she never wanted to make. But darkness waited, relentless and merciless. What would the rule be this time? And who among them would pay? As the shadows tightened their grasp, Emma made a silent vow. No matter the cost, she would not let fear summon her surrender. Yet the question remained, who would it choose to take first? The figure's laughter echoed through the room, stretching into a tangible force that wrapped around Emma, squeezing, suffocating. The shadows near the walls seemed to pulse, a living extension of their sinister master. Emma felt the world tilt, every instinct urging her to flee, yet her children's fragile forms anchored her in place. "What do you want from us?" Emma's voice barely broke through, wavering under the weight of impending doom. "There are rules to be followed, dear Emma," the figure crooned, each word dripping with malice. "If you wish to save their souls, you must comply. The choice is simple, yet infinitely complex." Emma swallowed hard, the air thick with despair. She could feel Olivia and Max trembling, tiny heartbeats racing against her own. "We are not playing your game," she spat, but doubt gnawed at her resolve. Her children needed her strength, yet this was beyond anything she could ever have imagined. "The first rule," the figure leaned in, its eyes shimmering like dying stars. You must present your fear unveiled and raw. Show me what haunts you. A chill slid down Emma's spine. Fear. It was already on the table, festering in the corners of her mind. But she couldn't let it slip free. Doing so could expose her, grant the darkness an entry point. Mommy, please. Max's voice trembled, a whisper thick with terror. We can't let it take you. Hold on to me, Emma urged, desperation threading through her. I'm here. We'll find a way out. The figure laughed again, a horrific sound that wormed its way into her thoughts. Deny me, and I'll take them both. But share your fear, and perhaps one can remain. Emma clenched her fists, her heart racing a wild tempo of dread. As if to mock her, shadows crept closer, swirling with a hypnotic rhythm. The air felt electric, pulsating with an invitation she dared not accept. What is your greatest fear, Emma? It coaxed, almost seductively. You have so much to lose. The images flooded her mind, images of dark alleys, forgotten cries, and the overwhelming sense of suffocation she felt every time she thought of failing as a mother. But what if revealing that fear made it real? What if she trapped herself in that memory? Then, amidst the chaos, a whisper from Olivia reached her ear. Mommy, don't let it win. The child's innocence ignited something deep within. If I have to expose my fear, then so be it. Emma decided, her voice strong against the oppressive dark. But you protect my kids, and I'll fight. That's the spirit. The figure clapped mockingly, shadows quaking with joy. With a deep breath, Emma opened her heart to the abyss, spewing forth her secret, exposing her soul. I'm afraid I will never be enough for my children, that I will fail you both. The words hung in the air, a confession scattered among the ridged edges of the night. She trembled, raw and vulnerable, remnants of her dread swelling into the atmosphere. The figure's eyes gleamed with sadistic pleasure, a victorious grin stretching across its shadowed face. Ah, but fear is a double-edged sword, it said. Telling it empowers me more. Olivia whimpered, her small hands gripping Emma's tighter. Mommy, don't please. Not just fear, Emma. Rule 1 demands honesty, a price to pay. The laughter surged, the very walls vibrating as shadows surged. Suddenly, the air grew thick, colder. Darkness closed in, constricting around her body. All Emma could sense was the overpowering urge to protect her children, to shield them even at the risk of obliterating herself. But the figure wasn't backing down. Its presence swallowed her doubts, and for a moment, despair threatened to crack her spirit again. Bargain, it hissed, its fingers curling into claws of grotesque invitation. Reveal your other hidden truths, a sinking feeling engulfed Emma. The puppeteer of shadows wasn't just playing for blood. They were testing their very essence. As she braced for the next twisted demand, cracks were forming in her resolve. Could she outsmart this fiend? The answer lingered murkily, deep within the darkness. Could they all survive this nightmarish game, or were they fated to be lost to the depths of unreachable despair? And as shadows churned ominously, an unsettling thought crept in: what other truths would emerge as her greatest fear began to consume her? Emma's breath hitched as the figure loomed closer, its airy form slinking like smoke. Where shall we begin, Emma? Your deepest truth lies, unguarded, it taunted, each word laced with malice that churned her stomach. She could feel Max's heartbeat against her chest, a steady reminder of what she stood to lose if she faltered. Stop. I won't give you anything else. Emma shouted, her heart pounding like a drum, echoing against the oppressive shadows. Yet panic tried to seep into her, clawing at her resolve, dragging her thoughts to darker recesses. Not yet, but you will. You cannot hide the weight of your darkest secrets forever. The figure's voice slithered through her, wrapping around her like a noose. It thrived on her tension, feeding off her anguish. What if you were to reveal, it continued, who you truly are beneath the mother's facade? What truth cradles your soul in torment? It leaned in, eyes glimmering like black holes, ready to swallow her whole. The children were watching, fear-stricken. Olivia's wide eyes brimmed with silent tears, and Max clutched at her hand tighter. He was petrified of what the figure might do, not just to her, but to them. Emma's heart raced. What if the darkest corners of her mind spilled over? She couldn't afford that. But what did she fear more? The truth or the shadow's victory? Go away. You don't know me. she cried, wanting to drown out the noise, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. But I do, dear Emma. The figure's smile widened, revealing a blasphemous grin. A facade shattered by guilt and regret. The facade of the perfect mother. Each word pullulated with venom, chilling her skin. Images flickered in her mind, jolting her with memories she thought had been buried, moments of impatience with her kids, days when her hopes were crushed under daily struggles, nights spent alone in despair. Remember that time you screamed at Olivia for no reason? It hissed, mocking, prying at the seams of her consciousness. You know you're not the mother they deserve. No, Emma muttered, clenching her jaw. I will not let you control me. But even as she protested, doubt threaded through her defenses, fragile as glass. What if that scream was your true nature, Emma? Just beneath the surface? It crept closer, invading her space, pushing her to the brink of her own thoughts. The walls felt as if they were closing in, suffocating her. Emma struggled, battling against the incoming tide. You're wrong. I love them. I would do anything for them. Yet her own voice rang hollow in the constricting air. Prove it then, it urged, the shadows writhing like a sea of serpents. Reveal just one more truth from your tainted heart. Perhaps that's what you need to break free. Max whispered, Mommy, don't listen to it. His eyes were wide, darting from Emma to the looming figure as if caught in a terrifying game of fate. Emma's brain raced. She couldn't let her children see the cracks, couldn't let them know about the times she doubted herself. I'm not scared of you, she shouted defiantly, but her hands trembled. Then share this. What is it you truly want to hide? It pressed, its voice slinking in like smoke, coiling around her like vines squeezing the life out of a sapling. That a whisper brushed against her consciousness. A longing, once silenced, the fear of failure, the desperation for acceptance. A shudder racked through her. I'm scared I'll lose them because of my own weaknesses. The words tore free in a rush, revelations spilling out like spilt ink. The figure chuckled, a sound that rippled through the air, simultaneously stirring fear and fascination. Ah, vulnerability. Delicious. See how easy it is to let it out? Emma gritted her teeth. I want to be your puppet. Not today. But the shadows curled tighter, constricting her thoughts. Had she messed up by revealing that truth? She glanced at Olivia and Max, fear already etched into their features. Tell me, how far are you willing to go to protect them? The figure murmured, shadows greedily closing in. Emma felt a wave of chilling doubt wash over her. Where would the line be drawn, and how much truth would she have to unveil to keep her children safe? As the room convulsed in shadows, a dark realization grasped her heart. What else would she have to sacrifice? The stakes were rising, and the figure's grin stretched wider, promising only discord at the end of this twisted game. Next, dear Emma, it cooed, I shall test your loyalty, binding you to truths you never wished to acknowledge. Are you ready to unveil what lies behind your steadfast facade? And in that moment of cold dread, Emma knew she had no choice but to brace herself for the darkness ahead and whatever horrors it could unleash. The air thickened, oppressive and heavy as the figure loomed, its presence suffocating. Emma's stomach twisted as chilling laughter echoed, the sound a cruel melody that brought the darkness to life. The shadows shifted, pulsing with malicious energy, as if they craved her every secret. Let us begin the true test, it crooned, voice dripping with satisfaction. What is a mother without her fears? What happens when you are forced to confront what lies beneath your love? Emma's heart raced. Every instinct screamed to flee, to protect Max and Olivia, but her body felt frozen. You can't make me do anything, she shouted, forcing every ounce of bravery she had into those words. Oh, but you'll do it willingly, the figure replied, gliding closer. You'll do it for them. Its twisted fingers pointed towards her children, and Emma's resolve wavered as she watched their terror deepening. Mommy, Olivia whimpered, eyes wide and confused. Max clutched her tighter, pale and trembling. Will you save them, Emma? It continued, delight thrumming through each syllable. You must unveil your obsessions, shed your skin of denial, or watch them suffer. The air crackled with threat, and Emma felt as if she were trapped in a nightmare that twisted with every breath. I want to let you take them from me, she screamed, desperation rising in her throat. Not yet, the figure replied, gliding backward, a predator savoring its game. First, Uncover this. What's the truth, your bitterest regret? The moment hung heavy, weighty like fog. Emma's mind spiraled, assaulted by flashes of her past moments of anger that felt insatiable, of blame misplaced. Her heartbeat thundered. She struggled to keep it together. If she uttered those truths, could it mean losing herself entirely? Tell me of the love you've choked, Emma. What agony lives in your heart? It leaned in, mouth curling into a sneer. Speak it, and set the stage for sacrifice. Trembling, she glanced at her children, desperate to shield them from the truth that clawed at her soul. The memories clawed their way to the surface. The nights spent lost in despair, the arguments that left her feeling hollow. She inhaled sharply, the smell of damp earth and fear swirling around her. I regret, she started, voice barely a whisper. I regret the nights I put myself first, days where I lost my patience. Oh, but that is not enough. It hissed, its voice laced with disdain. Dig deeper. What if I told you that those moments could doom them? Emma felt the weight of its words settle like an iron anchor in her chest. The room dimmed further, darkened corners swallowing all but her children's scared expressions. What if one of them isn't safe because of your failings? A voice deep within her warned, one she tried to drown out. I regret, she said again, fighting the urge to scream. I regret the way I used to react, the things I said when I was angry. Satisfaction danced in the figure's eyes. Now we're getting somewhere. Release more. Reveal your real failures. Let it spill like poison. Let me in. No. Emma rasped, heart threatening to break. But fears, like ink, bled out of her. I fear I'll ruin them because of my own pain, my inability to be present. The air shifted. Darkness swirled hungrily, waiting for more. The figure's laughter felt like nails on a chalkboard, filled with triumph. Delicious. But tell me, what would you sacrifice to cleanse your guilt? What dark deed lurks behind that facade of yours? Emma clenched her fists, shaking her head. I want to play your game. This isn't me. Isn't it? Huh. We shall see. The figure's voice warped, as shadows tightened their grip, twisting her thoughts like a serpent constricting its prey. Max and Olivia watched wide-eyed, their fear wrapping around her heart like cold fingers. Emma felt a raging storm within her. What else could she lose to save them? The line between truth and terror blurred as she stood teetering on the edge of despair, ready to plunge into the chasm of her darkest thoughts. What if the most terrifying truth, the figure whispered, venom seeping into the words, is that too? Save them. You must relinquish your soul? Emma's breath hitched. A final chilling question hung in the air, leaving her with a harrowing choice. Could she confront whatever lurked inside her? Or would the shadows thrive on her fears, claiming everything she loved? Are you ready to reveal the monster within? It taunted, its grin growing wider as the darkness beckoned for her surrender. Emma's heart thundered in her chest, each beat laced with dread. The shadows circled tighter, a wall of darkness pressing against her. Her breath was shallow. She fought against the panic swelling within her, desperate for clarity. Mommy, please. Olivia's small voice broke through the oppressive atmosphere. I don't want to lose you. The plea ignited a flicker of resolve in Emma. Could she truly be a monster? The thought sank into her soul, heavy and cold. I want to let you take me, she whispered defiantly, as if convincing herself. Foolish girl, the figure sneered, shadows writhing, shifting like smoke. You are mistaken if you believe you're free. With each lie you tell yourself, the truth will only consume you. What lay beneath her protective facade felt like an open wound, but she tightened her grip on that feeling. I am not afraid of you. But you should be. It crowed, laughter echoing in the constricting darkness. The depth of your despair is simply exquisite. Show me the horrors you hide from even your children. The walls vibrated with the sinister resonances of its voice, and the room seemed to tilt. Emma thought of her past, and how often she had slipped into darkness, resentful nights, and those moments when her temper ignited. She felt toxic shame claw at her throat. Do you want to see me suffer? She gasped, hands shaking. I want to let you do this. Max, Olivia, stay close. She stepped forward, shielding them with her body. The figure leaned closer, its face obscured in shadow. You already know this pain, Emma. Embrace it. Let it wash over you. You're trapped by your own regrets. Isn't it easier to give in? Emma felt the room shift again, as visions of her past cascaded in front of her. Shouting matches with herself, moments lost to anxiety, drowning in guilt each time she missed a recital or snapped over the smallest things. The memories piled up, suffocating her entire being. "Stop!" she yelled, clenching her eyes shut. "I want to be that person." Laughter spilled like poison from the figure's lips. And what if being that person is the only way to save the two innocent ones who depend on you? What if it is the sacrifice required to rip you free from your chains? Her mind spun. What might she sacrifice? What lurked in the crevices of her heart, just waiting to be unleashed? Every dark thought clawed at her sanity, and she grasped for the light. "I want to choose fear," she shouted, her voice breaking but strong. "If I'm a monster, then so be it. I will protect my children." Brave words for a sinking soul, the figure chuckled, circling her like a vulture. "But bear in mind, bravery has its price. Are you willing to sacrifice your heart to save them? The choice of their survival, what will it cost you?" Max's grip tightened around Olivia, and their fear felt like a physical weight, each breath heavy with unspoken silence. Emma turned to them, her voice raw and trembling. "Stay with me. No matter what happens." The figure paused, its grin ever present, deliberating her words like a depraved judge. "The closer you get to the truth, the closer danger looms. What if the darkness you unearth becomes a far greater nightmare than your worst fears?" A bone-chilling silence hung. Emma's gut twisted as her eyes locked on the figure within the darkness, its presence now dripping with malice. What if you discover that to save your children, you must embrace the shadows hiding deep within you? The sound echoed ominously, laced with dread that gnawed at her very soul. Emma shuddered. Every instinct screamed that something unspeakable awaited her, something that could shatter her forever. "Are you prepared?" it whispered, darkness swirling, threatening to swallow her whole. "To become that which you fear most for their sake?" A rush of adrenaline seized her. The choice loomed over her, icy and suffocating. "What awaits me if I do?" she called into the abyss, heart racing. What monstrous truth awaited discovery? Emma stood frozen on the precipice of terror. Was it truly worth the risk to unearth what lay hidden deep within? Would the revelation ultimately consume her? "Are you willing to find out?" The figure hissed, claws extending. "Your next step is all that matters. Will you fall into the shadows or grasp the light?" The air crackled, pregnant with uncertainty, leaving Emma teetering on the edge of the unknown. The darkness around Emma pulsed, alive and malevolent. She felt it wrap around her, squeezing tighter, trying to pull her down. Her resolve wavered, heart pounding as fear clawed at her throat. The figure loomed closer, becoming more defined, edges sharpening against the shadows. "Do it, Emma," it coaxed, voice silky yet laden with danger. "Unmask yourself. What's hiding beneath that gentle facade? The children need you to be fierce. Unleash the monster you hide." "Stop," she screamed, but her voice felt swallowed in the churning darkness. The words were a lie, an empty promise to push back against her reality. Max clutched Olivia tightly, his wide eyes darting from Emma to the figure. "Mom, don't listen to it. Please." His voice trembled, reflecting the terror twisting through the air. "Listen to your son," the figure taunted, a sickening glee evident in its distorted grin. "Love and hope are not the only forces in this world. Embrace the darkness, and maybe you can protect them." "They are terrified, Emma. Do you want to be the monster that haunts their dreams, or the savior that steals them from that fate?" Emma hesitated, breaths coming in short gasps. Memories flashed, moments of harsh words, cold silences, and resentment that wrapped around her heart. All of them haunted her like ghosts, whispering and nagging, reminding her of every mistake she'd ever made. "Mommy," Olivia sobbed, tears streaming down her face. "You can't let it win." Emma swallowed hard, shaking her head, trying to fight the dread that clawed at her insides. "You're right," she shouted, though it sounded more like desperate defiance than certainty. "I want to give in. I want to become what you want." Such noble sentiments, the figure purred, its voice oozing mockery. "It's almost adorable how hard you're fighting, so naive." Everything began to swirl, the shadows closing in tighter, squeezing her lungs, as Emma caught a glimpse of the reality her fears had tried to hide. She saw herself disheveled, alone, a specter of the guilt she carried like an albatross. All the moments she had buried deep down rushed forth. The times she had snapped at Max, the nights she had chosen silence over warmth, the fractures in her family that threatened to widen. Fear feeds this darkness, the figure hissed, trailing its fingertips along Emma's arm, icy and electrifying. What if the only way to save your children is to break the illusion of your goodness? In that chaos, you'll find the strength to shield them. Come closer to the shadows, and you'll find your power. A surge of anger pulsed through her, affection and warmth colliding with dread. If I'm a monster, she declared, so be it. I'll make sure they live without fear even if it costs everything. A deep chuckle rumbled through the air. Then come, embrace it. Unravel the very fabric of your soul to reveal the monstrous truth. Only then will you see the path. The ground beneath her began to tremble as she wrestled with the choice laid bare before her. Just then, a blinding flash surged through the darkness. Voices of encouragement from Max and Olivia filled her mind. Mom, Max cried, we're all here with you. Don't let it take you. Shocked into clarity, Emma clutched their hands, heat and warmth flowing into her from them, her anchoring light against the encroaching shadows. You don't get to have me, she yelled, something fierce igniting within her. No, the figure shrieked, as its presence recoiled. You feel that strength, don't you? That power? Lean into it. Never. Emma screamed, and in that moment, she thrust her hands forward, willing herself to fight as the shadows convulsed around her. But the figure laughed one last time, dark and mocking. Soon, you'll realize the truth can't be outrun. The shadows lunged, swarming her, and for an instant, everything went black. Then the silence shattered. Wake up, a voice yelled, pulling her back with visceral urgency. Emma's eyes flew open to chaos around her, a flickering glass on the floor, the faint outline of the dark figure lingering just at the edge of her vision. Mom, it's not over. Max's words were cut off as the darkness pulsed and shrank back. Hang on. Emma surged forward, desperate to escape whatever horror awaited next. What challenges now loomed in the wake of her choice? As the reality shifted around her, she realized this fight was far from over. Time will reveal all, the figure murmured, receding deeper into the shadows. And you will pay dearly for your defiance. A new terror unfurled. What had she unleashed upon herself and her children? The path ahead twisted into the unknown, threatening to engulf them all. Would she be strong enough to face what awaited in the pitch black? The darkness retreated only slightly, leaving a veil of shadows that seemed to twist and sway, hungry for Emma's weakness. Breathing heavily, she scanned her surroundings. The once familiar living room morphed into an alien landscape, the walls pulsing as if alive, the air thick with dread. Her heart raced like a wild animal in a trap, caught between fight and flight. Mom. Max's voice quivered, pulling Emma back from the edge of panic. She turned to him, desperate to anchor herself in the midst of the chaos. His face shone with fear and determination, eyes wide and glistening in the muted light. Olivia clung to her brother, her small frame shaking. Stay close, Emma said, forcing bravery into her voice. They stepped backward, the shadows coiling and creeping with them, a sinister predator ready to pounce. In the dark, they come, the figure's whisper curled through the room like smoke. They feed on the fear you've sown into your children. Do you want to know their stories? The ones that will make you shiver? No, Emma shouted, cutting it off. You will not take them. The laughter echoed, a sound that clawed at the edges of her sanity. Shadows flickered, revealing ghostly faces that floated through the air, eyes hollow and mouths twisted in silent screams. Emma's stomach churned as she recognized them. Familiar faces twisted in agony, lost souls of friends and relatives, people she once loved. Do you want forgiveness? The figure hissed, almost playfully. Or would you rather they remain in pain? You can choose. Just give into the darkness, and I'll grant you power beyond your wildest imagination. Her fists clenched. No, my children matter more than any power. Is that so? The figure snickered, leaning closer, its shape swirling around the room like mist. Let us see if you can hold on to that conviction. With those words, the room began to shift violently. The familiar walls morphed into a cold, dank cabin, shadows curling menacingly around the edges. The atmosphere grew thick with oppressive dread, drifting towards her like smoke. Was it what she feared? From all sides, voices rose, a dissonant choir of anguish, whispering her own insecurities, twisting her failures into horrific visions. You failed when it mattered, Emma. Listen, feel their pain. You could have saved them. Max and Olivia stumbled in confusion. Mom, what is happening? Max's voice quivered as he pulled Olivia closer, as if the act itself could shield them. I don't know, Emma whispered, the weight of despair crashing down harder than ever. But we have to fight together. Suddenly, the walls warped again, and she could see them faces of the children she and T been able to protect. Just fleeting glimpses, like reflections in broken glass, gnarled, twisted features, summoning her to join them. Find the strength, Emma. You can save them. All you have to do is reach out, the figure coaxed, voice as sweet as honey yet sharp as glass. No, she shouted, her resolve bubbling to the surface. I will not lose you again. Max grabbed her hand, the warmth grounding her. His small fingers were steady in her grasp, reminding her of her purpose. We can't let it control us. Embrace the shadows, and you'll have the power, the figure repeated, taunting, coaxing, echoing in her mind. Emma felt the pull again. It was almost hypnotic, seducing her into surrender. No, she murmured, feeling her strength fraying. As the walls began to close in again, dark tendrils stretched toward her, seeking purchase over her heart and soul, ready to snatch her into the depths of its abyss. Then, in a moment of clarity, something clicked. Emma met the shadows with a fierce determination. You will not take my children. I will find a way to protect us all, no matter the cost. Screams erupted from the dark figure, echoes of disbelief mixing with fury. You think you can defy the inevitable? The pact you've made will take root, and you will regret this defiance. In that moment, as the swirling darkness lunged, Emma felt the first hint of light seep into her bones. It pulsed with warmth, igniting embers of hope buried deep within her like a far-off star in a night sky. Could she truly claim that light, or was it just another taunt from the shadows? Emma couldn't help but wonder how long could they hold on to this clarity against the darkness that threatened to engulf them? A thunderous roar splintered through the air, and Emma braced herself for what came next. Would this be the moment of collapse or rebirth? Only time would tell what horrors awaited them just beyond the horizon. The shadows roared, an angry tempest swirling around Emma and her children, their fear now palpable, electric in the air. Each heartbeat echoed a defiance that surged within her, growing stronger with every moment. Emma felt the warmth of resolve kindling in her chest, a fire fueled by every ounce of love she bore for her kids. The darkness raged, long fingers clawing at her spirit, yet their presence only amplified her determination. Stay close to me. Always, Emma shouted, pulling Max and Olivia in tighter as she stood her ground against the creeping void. The figure twisted closer, its dark eyes glimmering with a wicked hunger. You cannot keep this up, Emma. The shadows will consume you if you resist. It sneered, voice dripping with contempt. Let them come, Emma retorted, her voice fierce, shaking off the darkness like a long-forgotten shroud. She stepped forward, magnifying the intensity of her incantation. You will not have us. We are stronger together. The shadows writhed, caught in a magnetic pulse of Emma's conviction. It clawed at her relentlessly, whispering once more of failures and fears, of insecurities that gnawed at her every thought. Look at your children, it hissed, eyes narrowing. How can you protect them when you can't even stand against your own brokenness? No, Emma declared, her voice swelling with power, her hands raised. They are my light. They are why I will never surrender. The pulse of warmth grew, radiating outward, enveloping her and the children. Fear is power, Emma. You cannot deny it. You are bound by it. The figure shrieked, shadows crashing against her like waves. But as they rushed toward her, Emma felt the light inside bloom brighter. You're right. I'm afraid. Terrified of losing them. Terrified of failing. But it's time to take that fear and turn it into strength. With a roar of defiance, she thrust her hands out, feeling the energy surge, a white-hot glow igniting around them. It pulsed and expanded like a heartbeat, filling the room, banishing the shadows that threatened to consume them. The laughter of the figure ricocheted in confusion and rage, finally losing its hold. Enough, it howled, retreating into the corners, seeking refuge from the blinding light. The tendrils of darkness shrank back, fraying and flickering like dying embers. Emma stepped closer to Max and Olivia, their eyes wide with awe, reflecting the radiance surrounding them. "Hold on to each other," she whispered fiercely, an unwavering bond of love tethering their souls together. "Mommy, I'm scared," Olivia whimpered, glancing into the void that trembled at their feet. "I know, sweetheart, but we can outshine it. Remember, we are stronger together," Emma encouraged, the light thrumming, waiting for her command. "Do it now, Emma," came the voice of the figure, serrated with desperation. "The light can't last. Give in. It will save you all." "No," Emma screamed, her voice ringing with the strength of a lioness, driving out fear. "This is my choice." With that, she pushed forward into the encroaching blackness, wielding the light like a sword. It sliced through the fog, illuminating the faces of the lost, showing the hopeless once more how to find their way home. "Reclaim the light," she shouted, words woven with power and intention, and as she did, the flickering souls began to rise. "This is your chance. Break free." The darkness clamored like a torrential storm, cracking and splintering, the sound shrieking as the light pushed deeper. "You can't end this. You were meant to fall. Your story ends in despair." The figure howled, but Emma stood firm. Deeper fears washed away in the heat of what they had forged together. The faces of the lost blinked in and out, their chains of suffering clinking and clanking as they flew toward the radiance like marionettes released from their strings. Emma's heartbeat harmonized with theirs, each beat a weapon against the shadows, each breath a promise made. "Run," Emma called, her voice soaring above the chaos, her heart an unyielding beacon. "Bring them home. Trust in the light." And just like that, the shadows began to dissipate, unraveling before her very eyes. The figure screamed, an agonized wail reverberating through the frame of their home. "You'll pay for this, Emma. This isn't over." But its voice faded, dispersing into the ether as the room transformed back into their cozy living space. The warmth wrapped around them like a comforting embrace. They were safe. Emma's chest heaved, adrenaline still buzzing as she fell to her knees, the kids collapsing beside her, trembling but alive. "Did we win?" Max asked, voice small and innocent, his hand clutching Emma's tightly. "I think so," she murmured, tears spilling down her cheeks. "We fought together. We always will." As they embraced, the burden on Emma's shoulders lifted like a quilt of worry being shaken from its place. She felt stronger, more defined than ever. The battle with the shadows might have faded for now, but the memories of fear would linger. Emma smiled down at her children, determination glimmering in her heart. With them at her side, she could face anything. "Time to rebuild, my loves," she whispered, bravely facing an unknown future where love would always be their armor. As they huddled together, surrounded by soft, forgiving light, a newfound sense of normalcy wrapped around them. Emma could finally breathe again, free and alive, for the shadows of Hollow Creek hadn't won. And in that moment, she realized they were the true light in the darkness. Life would be different now. The path ahead would be difficult, but she wouldn't be alone. This was their story, one of many battles fought and many more yet to come. As long as they were together, hope remained flourishing in a world that would never extinguish their light. Now it's time for you to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss our next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Flood the comments section below with your reactions and theories about the ending. Let us hear what you think. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel. Let's keep the adventure alive together.